You hit rock bottom, and guess what? You deserve it. I know that sounds harsh, so let me explain before you click away. Rock bottom isn't some random place you landed by accident. It's exactly where your decisions, habits, and mindset led you. The good news? If you got yourself here, you can also get yourself out. Now here's the brutal truth. Blaming other people, blaming the economy, or blaming your circumstances does nothing but keep you stuck. Rock bottom is your reality check. It's the universe screaming, hey, this is what happens when you ignore the warning signs. Why do you deserve it? Well, because you made the choices, consciously or not, that put you here. And that's actually great news. It means you're in full control of the turnaround. Once you own that responsibility, nobody can ever stop you from climbing out. Look, I've been there. I'm not talking out of thin air. There was a time when I had no money, I had no idea how to make rent or even buy groceries. I was working like a madman, but still couldn't cover our expenses. I got so close to having the power at my house disconnected that it terrified me, honestly. I remember lying in bed at night, wide awake with anxiety or stressing like crazy at the checkout line at the grocery store because paying with my card and I was hoping it wouldn't decline. At first, I was full of excuses. I'm not making enough, I'm stuck in my routine and I can't get out because I don't have extra time. Then I asked myself, who chose these actions? Who stayed complacent? The answer was obviously me. That moment of brutal honesty hurt, but it also liberated me. Once I realized I created this mess, I knew I could clean it up. Here's why rock bottom is actually the best teacher you'll ever have. You finally feel the consequences. When you're comfortable, when there's a safety net or a plan B or someone to bail you out, you never truly change. You don't need to. But when you have nothing, when there's no further you can fall, you get desperate. And desperation can be powerful. You suddenly respect every decision. You realize every action matters. It's like touching a hot stove. Once you feel that burn, you'll never forget. So let's talk about how you own your rock bottom. It comes down to 3 steps. Stop crying, why me? And start saying, okay, this is me, and I got here somehow. Now for me, accepting it wasn't some grand moment of clarity. It was a slow, brutal realization. I had to sit down, strip away every excuse, and look at the hard facts. And here's what I saw. Basically, I ignored red flags. I saw the warning signs, wherever it was bad financial decision, procrastinating in business, or ignoring issues that were clearly snowballing. I let them slide. I told myself I'll deal with it later. Spoiler alert, I didn't. I procrastinated on the hard decisions. I kept putting off the uncomfortable stuff, like the things I knew deep down I had to do. Whether it was making that difficult phone call, cutting off draining relationships, or finally fixing a broken system in my business, I stalled. And guess what? It cost me. I surrounded myself with the wrong people. I let people stay in my circle who had no business being there. People who drained my energy, added zero value, and, if I'm being honest, kept me stuck because I was too afraid to rock the boat. I never tracked my progress. I didn't sit down and ask myself, the hard question, am I actually moving forward? Or is this sustainable? I coasted. And the thing about coasting, you only coast downhill. I lived in excuses. This was the big one. The timing's not right. I've got too much going on. It's just bad luck. Every excuse was another brick in the wall I built around myself. And the worst part, I actually believed them. So here's what I did. I wrote it all down. Every decision, every excuse, every inaction, and I sat with it. No distraction, no phone, just me and the hard, cold truth. And I realized this wasn't life happening to me. This was life reacting to my choices. Once I owned it, I asked the next question. Now what? Because knowing you're the problem is great. But unless you take responsibility to fix it, you're just another person who enjoys self-pity. For me, accountability meant making brutal cuts. I had to cut spending, cut distractions, cut people who didn't align with my vision, even if they were close. I changed my daily routines, my business strategies, hell, even how I approach my mornings. Every detail mattered. I told myself, if I can create a mess this big, I can build something better. But no one's coming to save me. I'm it, basically. Now this is where most people get stuck. They do the journaling, the mindset work, all the big. They have this haha moment, and then they freeze. They don't do anything else. But rock bottom has one gift: urgency. When you've got nothing to lose, why wait? So I made my first move. It wasn't some grand life-changing step. It was simple. I sent that one uncomfortable email. I made that awkward phone call. I pulled the trigger on a decision I'd been pulling off for months. And you know what happened? Momentum. It was like flipping a switch. One decision became 2, and 2 became 10, and eventually I was so far removed from that rock bottom moment that I could barely recognize the version of me who let it happen. It's not my fault. Life is unfair. Sure, life is unfair. So, if it weren't unfair, you wouldn't be at rock bottom in the first place. So, excuse invalid. I don't have the resources. You have the internet. You have time. Because guess what? Rock bottom usually gives you plenty of that. You can always start small. No resource, become the fucking resource. Oh, I am too far gone. Rock bottom literally means there is no deeper place to go. So the only way is up. If you're here, you're in a position to rebuild from scratch. And that's a powerful place to be. Like rock bottom is a blessing in disguise for one major reason. It frees you from fear. You've lost, right? You've failed. You've tasted defeat. So what's left to be afraid of? This is the perfect foundation to grow something real. You can rebuild your identity from scratch. No filters, no fake confidence, no lies. It's like when I was 18, I finished my apprenticeship, thinking I was finally set up for the next step. I figured I'd stay at the company, maybe climb the ladder, get some stability, but then, boom, they sent me down and told me they couldn't keep me there because they couldn't afford to keep me there. No hard feelings, nothing personal, but that didn't make it sting any less. I was living alone at the time, rent was due, bills stacking up, and I remember sitting in my car after they told me to let me go, basically. I had my hands on the steering wheel, just blank. There was, no backup plan, no savings, no clue what the hell I was supposed to do. And that feeling, pure, raw panic, hit me like a freight train. But then after that initial wave of fear, something else hit me. If I'm already at zero, what do I have to lose? That was the returning point. I realized rock bottom isn't just this dark, hopeless place. It's clean. It's the reset button nobody asks for, but everyone sometimes needs. From there, I wasn't afraid of taking risks anymore because I'd already tasted the worst case scenario. No job, no money, no plan, and still yet. And I was still breathing. That was good. So, rock bottom basically strips away all the fluff. It forces you to stop pretending everything is fine. And once the fear is gone, that's when you start making real moves. No pressure to impress, no expectation to play by the rules, just you, the dirt, the floor beneath you, and the climb ahead. That's why I say hitting rock bottom is a privilege most people never get. Because most people never hit that low. They hover just above it, stuck in this cycle of almost failing but not quite. And that's where comfort kills them. Rock bottom, it's pure, it's raw. And if you use it right, it's the most powerful launching pad you'll ever have. Let's face it, most successful stories start with a downfall. Like J.K. Rowling before Harry Potter she was broke, divorced, living on welfare, I believe, and the books were rejected by 12 publishers before someone actually took a chance. Or Elon Musk, he was dismissed from PayPal right before it sold for billions and nearly went bankrupt trying to fund Tesla and SpaceX. Now he's the richest man alive. Robert Downey Jr., another one. He hit rock bottom, addiction, arrests, career collapse, before he turned it all around and became Iron Man. Walt Disney, another one. He was fired from a newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. His first business went bankrupt before he built the Disney empire we know today. The difference between them and others is that they use that pain to fuel the next move. So yes, you hit rock bottom, and yes, you deserve it because you put yourself there. But here's the flip side. You also deserve the chance to rise again, stronger than before. The question is, are you going to waste this painful moment or harness it? If you decide to harness it, then stop looking for pity or handouts. Own it. That's the quickest way to turn bottom into the top, or using that into a solid foundation for your comeback. Remember, you earned your place at rock bottom, but that also means you can earn your way back to the top if you're willing to do the work.